I believe in the power of family. I think that family is more powerful today than it ever has been in the history of the world, but yet we don't value family quite as much as we should. And so Mother Teresa says this: if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And that to me is the heartbeat and the blueprint behind this film, Unsung Hero.
For all you unsung heroes out there, this one is for you. For every mother, for every father, for everyone who's had a mother and father, and even no matter how much we have ever done wrong, hear today how much God loves you as we talk about the movie Unsung Hero. It is one family's journey from down under to center stage. And here with us is the star of King and Country, Luke Smallbone, winner of 4 Grammy Awards, American Music Award, 10 GMA Dove Awards, a Billboard Music Award, and 16 K-Love Fan Awards. Luke, that's a lot. We're glad you're here with us today to tell us about this great movie.
No worries. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me. You don't even need to mention any of those things, but you're kind.
Well, you've been busy, and we want to make sure we cover that. You've been busy. But let's start. We want to hear about this incredible true story of your family's life, but let's start with the trailer.
Okay, stay close. Let's go.
How y'all doing?
Are y'all from England?
Australia. Australia. Wish I had an accent.
Dad, I wrote a song. Thought maybe we could ask for an audition.
Oh, that's great, honey. Let's take it one step at a time.
Kay tells me you're a promoter. You know someone looking for one? Well, I may know somebody who should be.
She's been given a beautiful voice. It's a miracle.
She's a special one, son. Your family, they're not in the way. They are the way.
There's no food, and we're almost out of money. We need to make some changes. Kids, we need your help. This is everything we have, and sometimes it's going to grow, and sometimes it will shrink, but it cannot be allowed to disappear. I wonder if he's right. Maybe I'm not meant to sing. Or maybe you're not meant to sing other people's songs. It's going to be dangerous and scary. And giving up, giving in, it's not an option.
Whatever your dream is, I know you can achieve it.
Please welcome my big sister.
My dream is to be like you. It always has been. I want a record deal.
So do I.
Yeah, well, boys, get in line.
Luke, I would love for you to tell us the story of this movie.
Yeah. So originally born in Australia. Hopefully you can still tell. You Americans have jacked up my accent. Thanks for that. But born in Australia, my dad was a concert promoter back there. And on one particular tour that he brought back to Australia, the tour didn't go very well, and we ended up losing everything that we had as a family. We lost the house, we lost the car, the life savings. And so Dad was looking for a fresh start for his career, and he got a job offer in Nashville, Tennessee, and he thought it would be a good idea to move his 6 kids and his wife, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, to Nashville, Tennessee. And that's exactly what we did. But soon after we arrived, my dad lost that job. And so we were staying on the other side of the world, no friends, no family. We were sleeping on beds made out of clothes. Weren't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Didn't have any way for our little sister to be born in a hospital, didn't have a car, and the list went on and on and on. And I've told some semblance of that story at pretty much the last, every performance of King of Countries for the last 11 or 12 years. And had a lot of people come up and say, man, Luke, you guys should write a book. And the truth is, Joel and I were homeschooled, so we don't read or write very well. And we thought maybe we could make a movie instead. And look, I believe in the power of family. I think that family is more powerful today than it ever has been in the history of the world. But yet we don't value family quite as much as we should. And so Mother Teresa says this: if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And that, to me, is the heartbeat and the blueprint behind this film, Unsung Hero.
Yes, and we are Parent Compass, so we're very into families as well. And so who is the unsung hero in the movie?
Yeah. Well, our mother is. Our mother is this, man, my mom's an amazing person. Obviously, she had 7 kids. Can you imagine that? That's not for the faint of heart, raising 7 kids. And it's 2 girls, bookend girls, and 5 boys in the middle. So she's had plenty of boys to discipline over the course of her lifetime. And man, my mom, no parent is perfect, right? We all know that. We all recognize that. But my mom, I always say this about her. She taught me right from wrong. She taught me fear of God. She taught me how to forgive people. All of the invisible things that actually matter in this world were the things that my mom cared about. Were the things that my mom was really good at. My mom, the really big moments that I needed my mom, I never remember a moment where I felt like, oh, mom kind of missed the mark on this one. She batted 1,000 on the big moments. And I don't know how she did that. She had 7 kids. But she had a unique ability to kind of recognize what was going on with the kids, and she could come in and spend the time and help coach us and through life. And so my mom is the unsung hero. Pretty much, if you see my mom walk in the room, specifically with the 5 boys, you'll pretty much see every one of the boys get up and go give her a kiss on the cheek. There's much reverence and respect for my mom in our household.
Oh, that is so amazing. And I like to think about the fact that mothers are unsung heroes. Just the 24-hour-a-day work that they do and love on children and the family and putting it together. That's, I love that you're highlighting your mom and the work she went through, but also she had a real difficult situation based on what you're saying, because the movie is correct back in tell me the time frame that the movie is in, how long of your lives that it lasts.
Yeah, so it was the early 90s. She had 6 kids, another on the way, and the oldest was 14. Went down to 2 when we moved to America. And then once we arrived in America, that's when we had our little sister. Yeah, so it was a very intense period of time for mom, and she did those early 90s years. I mean, think about this: her youngest, our little sister, she never even had an ultrasound until she delivered the baby. I mean, you're talking about amazing. And then the previous pregnancy that she had was she had to have a blood transfusion. Was a really dicey situation. They actually told her not to get pregnant anymore. So you can imagine the fear, the things that she had to overcome to kind of even just get to a point of having her seventh baby.
And I think it's encouraging too to hear your story that you walked through having nothing and you survived. So this movie seems to be a powerful story of faith. And where did that faith come from?
Yeah, well, we actually were very grateful to be raised in a household of a long lineage of faith. Actually, I have grandparents going back as far as I can remember that in Australia, mind you, that it has about 5% Christians in Australia. We're very much a post Christian society in Australia. If you go into Australia, if you go to Australia and you've got a church of 400 or 500 people, that's a big church in Australia, where we over here kind of be like, you go to the little podunk church over there, it's crazy. So my parents have always had, particularly my mom, from a very young age, losing everything was the best thing that happened to my dad. That's, I think, where it really awakened spiritual journey. He became a Christian, in his 20s. But I think it was something about this story and this time for him that he got to actually test his faith. He was given the privilege of struggle, given the privilege of seeing God move. And look, if that affects you, there's a reason why Jesus in his early days did so many miracles. Because if you see a miracle, you'll never be the same. And that's, I think, our family has a lot. The reason why our family has chosen to go down the paths that we've gone is because we got to see those miracles at a very young age, and we're incredibly grateful for that.
And I know there were a lot of those God moments and answered prayers. Which one meant the most to you? I mean, it's hard to pick, I'm sure, but can you mention some that?
I think the most shocking was probably we came for our first Thanksgiving, and you Americans make a big old deal out of Thanksgiving, but we don't have Thanksgiving in Australia. I did a little research, and you've got Canada that's got some sort of idea of Thanksgiving. America's got Thanksgiving. The rest of the world does not have Thanksgiving. They're literally that unthankful. All right, and so Thanksgiving in America is a huge deal, And so we go to Thanksgiving, and we have a wonderful time with this family. We just met them. And at the end of the night, the father of the household comes to us and he says, "Hey, I don't know why, but I just feel compelled to give you the keys to my brand new car. And I just want you guys to have it." You don't hear many stories of things like that happening. I think that was probably the most shocking for our family. You don't get given a car, mind you, a new car, ever,
Wow. Yes, that's shocking. And it's interesting because your mom's the unsung hero in this story, but also people like that helped you. We can all be unsung heroes helping each other out. That's so exciting. So how did you pay for things?
Yeah, I mean, look, so we used to joke that we did all of the things that Americans didn't like to do. So we raked leaves and mowed lawns and cleaned houses. And that was what we did early on to kind of keep the family alive. And I started mowing lawns when I was 5 years old, which feels like there's some sort of law that's probably broken there somewhere, but I did it nonetheless. And I loved it. Still love mowing my own lawn to this day, actually. And it was through our oldest sister is an artist by the name of Rebecca St. James. And it was when she got signed to a record deal that we slowly started to come out of this kind of very, very, very difficult season of financial struggle. But it was really through our oldest sister getting signed to her record deal.
Yes, and of course now she's of course a Grammy Award winning artist. And how did King and Country start?
Yeah, well, we grew up on the road with our sister, so I was a lighting director and was on the crew for a lot of years. And I was trying to play basketball. Actually, I wanted to play basketball, at a small college or something. And I tore my ACL in my left knee, and I pretty quickly realized that maybe my dreams of playing basketball were over. And actually, speaking of unsung heroes, I went to my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, everybody else in the family's got their thing that they're really good at. And yet here I am with the thing that I thought that I was good at. I feel like it's been taken from me." And she said, "Look, I think by the time that you graduate high school, there's going to be one thing left for you to do." And sure enough, I graduate high school, and Joel comes to me, my brother, and says, "Hey, man, what do you think about working on some music and writing some songs and singing on some demos and just seeing where music takes us?" And, that was kind of the beginning of King and Country. We struggled for a lot of years, about 4 or 5 years of very little success at all. And then it was kind of one of those stories where somebody heard a song and said, "I want to sign you up to our record deal and to our record label." And many, many years later, now I'm talking to you, Natalie.
I love it. And I feel like each one of your songs has a message from God. Can you name at least a few of them, or maybe the ones you got Grammys for? Name the song, and then what would be that key message for these rare people, right, that maybe don't know those songs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I think, you got a song like God Only Knows, which is probably our biggest song. That is just, man, yeah, I think there's people that feel so lonely in this world, and they feel like God doesn't see them, doesn't care for them. And at the end of the day, it says in the Bible, which, I just hinge my life on now. It's just is proven to be true for me that he knows the numbers of hair on your head. You could count. You could try and count, and you would never find the accurate number of your head. Basically, that verse is saying it's impossible for a human to know. God only knows. And so if he knows all the hairs on your head, he knows your thoughts. He knows the mistakes that you made. He knows the things that you aspire to do or the things that you don't aspire to do. And no matter what type of mistakes that you've made, that he still cares for you. He still loves you. I mean, that is a kind of love that is only God-like, because that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Just amazing. Name another one in the message of it. Another of the songs.
There's another song called "Burn the Ships," which is basically about people have gone through very, very hard times, and a lot of times our pasts hold us back from our future. And there was an explorer that went to a foreign land, and when it came time for his army to move inward, he burnt all the ships because he knew that if his men had the ability to retreat, that they would. And I think it's a kind of a brilliant metaphor for a lot of people with a lot of pain that they walk with. Is at some point you got to make a decision to move on from your pain, because your pain will hold you back. It'll restrict you from the things that God has ordained and given you the gift of. And sometimes you just got to go and burn those ships.
Yes, I hear the scene. There's a scene in the movie about that, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And somebody asked me to ask you if the pirate scene was real.
I wish to say that it was. That was something that we wrote. It
That's
would have
wonderful.
been a great speech. It's funny it tells you a lot about parents, right? I don't know how many kids you've got, but I don't think our kids, okay, so you got 5 kids. I don't think your kids are they might remember a phrase here and there, but your kids will never really remember the speeches you gave them. They just remember the way you made them feel. And I think that's the way for us. I don't remember the speeches my mom gave me very often. I remember some phrases and things, but I remember the way that she made me feel. And that scene in the movie, the way that you felt after that scene in the movie, she made me feel like that almost always.
And that's so encouraging to mothers and fathers, because we can realize that no matter what, we can love our kids and make them feel the way God makes us feel when we reach out to him. And, love comes from God. So were you and your family completely shocked by the success of being on center stage now?
Oh, well, I think that, I don't think you expect the movie to be made about your family, right? You're just living your life. You're not living a movie. It just so happens that sometimes you can live life that can become a movie, thankfully God is kind of slowly prepared our family, I think, with our older sister, we knew what, maybe having a little bit of limelight felt like. And, if you're not careful with it, it can really screw you up. And then obviously with King and Country, there's a reason why sometimes there's just this slow incline of a career, because if it happens too quickly, I think it can do a lot of damage to a lot of people. And, I don't think you should ever get comfortable with the limelight. I think you should hold it very loosely. And I think that I don't think humans are designed to hear applause. I think that we're designed to give applause heavenward, but I don't think we're designed to accept applause. And I think if you see people that are accepting applause, in the years to come, you will see that it will do significant damage to who they are, because there will come a time where, the work that I do or whatever, no one will really care about. But who am I without, applause or people wanting to do interviews or whatever it might be? I'm more concerned and focused on those things than anything, And so hopefully we're prayed up and ready for this, But I think we hold it loosely. God can have our stories, but if our stories become our identity, it's flipped the wrong way around.
And of course, it says throughout the Bible that our purpose is to give God glory. So just
That's right.
as you're saying, was it surreal to see yourself portrayed as a young child in the movie? And did the movie change your perspective of here you grew up in that age, but now you're looking back at it as an adult?
Yeah, I think I hold it pretty loosely as it is, and my character doesn't have a massive role in the film, per se. But yeah, I think it's, I mean, it's a little bit unique to think that there was a lot, a life that we lived that, a movie is being made about it. But I think it gave me a lot more grace for my parents because, I'm 37 years old. My dad was about 40 when he came to America, so I'm similar ages as an age to him, and it would be a little challenging, to walk through the things that he walked through. I think it's given us a lot more compassion for our father, and I think that's always a good thing. I think that we sometimes can be pretty severe as children with our parents, like, oh, Dad, would you just stop this? Or Mom. But if you knew their history, if you knew where they came from, if you knew the reason why maybe that tick that they have, the reason why they do it, I think you'd probably give them a lot more grace, and I think that there comes a point where it flips, as children, you really care about the affirmation of your parents. And then at some point it flips to where your parents actually care a lot about the affirmation of their kids. And I think if there are any kids out there, I mean, we're all sons and daughters, but, as we get older, don't forget the power of calling up your mom or your dad and just saying, hey, Mom, thanks for being a good mom, or Dad, thanks for, hey, it may not have always been easy with the choices and the things that that were given to you, but thank you for being a good dad. I think that we forget the power of encouragement from our children.
Yes, I think that's true. And I think also as parents, we can reverse that and, tell our children that we love them just because they are, like it says in the Bible, just because God has given you to me because of who you are, besides other things. But I love that, to appreciate our parents. It's great. And you are a father of 4, correct?
Yeah.
How are you interweaving what the faith you learned growing up with what you're doing now? And what are you learning?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, the most important title I have is father, because without my wife, I don't ever get given the title father. So when I get the title of father, that has a lot to do with the love that I have for my wife, And so yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying with everything in me. The 2 things I want to be successful in is I want to walk with Jesus, not just follow him. I want to walk with him. I want to have a successful marriage, and I want to be a good father. But if I can do those 3 things, I don't think God cares about my occupation that much, but I think he cares about my obedience and my faithfulness. And now through obedience, you find your calling, and that's it. That ends up what you do. But don't try and find your calling before your obedience. I think that's one of the things that we kind of mix up. People are so worried about what they're going to do. And it's like, man, if you're just obedient with the opportunities and things that God gives you, you'll probably find years later you're actually doing this thing that you find incredible satisfaction in doing. And so I'm trying to teach my kids that. Look, like I said about my mom, I'm trying to teach my kids, right and wrong. I'm trying to teach them obedience. I'm trying to teach them, trust in Jesus. I'm trying to teach them, forgiveness and all of those things. All of the things that matter are the things that I'm trying to instill in my kids.
And I love that. And of course, the obedience is to God, and he's got it written out, all these great, loving, good things that, as you say, when we choose it, it fulfills us beyond anything that we would choose in the world. I agree. Well, let me tell the audience how they can see this film.
Yeah, so Unsung Hero comes out April 26th. You can go see it April 26th, 27th, 28th. It literally, the opening weekend is probably the most important weekend of any film. And so if some of these things that we've been talking about here are of interest, go see the film opening weekend. It's you have 72 hours to make a mark with Hollywood. Music, you got a couple years, you got songs, and it doesn't have to be as immediate. But with movies, it really needs to, you need to come out in droves on that opening weekend. So if you're listening or you're watching, please, if you just look up your local theaters and go see Unsung Hero April 26th, 27th, and 28th.
And for those people that this will not go to everybody that is able to do it that weekend. Some of the broadcasters will be later. So how can I guess they can get the movie anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know yet because when it comes out on streaming or all the different partners, we're not to that point yet. But for more information, you just go to unsunghero.movie.com, and that's where you can kind of get everything you need. Or I think it's just actually unsunghero.movie, and that's where you'll get all the information you need.
I appreciate you being here so much. Really great words of wisdom, and we're excited for how your family has dedicated their lives to God, and so we can learn things He's doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
God is love, and love comes from God. In 1 John, the Bible tells us that God is not only all-loving, but that He actually is love itself. The heart of the Parent Compass television show is to bring the transforming love of God to families everywhere. In every Parent Compass episode, true stories reveal family struggles and how their lives were radically changed by the love of God. Parent Compass, an award-winning television series, is completely funded by people like you. If you have been touched by God and you want to share God's love to others, would you please pass it on? Jesus tells us to go into all the world and to tell about Him. With your donation, you allow us to take this television show into many different nations and in many different languages, free of charge. And a portion of your donation goes to Parent Compass Outreach to feed starving children. Your gift does so much. To make your tax-deductible gift, go to parentcompass.tv/donate. That's parentcompass.tv/donate. And thank you for sending love and hope around the world.